Alright, guys, so I said I was going to be recording each section of my story that I write in a given day. I didn't write yesterday because I was a little tired, but I wrote a little bit extra today. Not intentionally, it just kind of flowed out of me. So I figured, hey, I'm feeling it, I'll go a little bit farther, which is really what you do as a writer, right? So this might be a little bit of a longer video today, but let's get into this. The grimy man looked at Nicholas and his wife with even greater trepidation as he watched them escape out into the courtyard, the various royal guard soldiers scurrying about, pretending to be more discombobulated than they were, in the subconscious hope that the Tsar and his family would fall into the pigeonholed and unforeseen trap. He can go that way, Dmitri whispered into the grimy man's ear, telling no lie. Yes, indeed, the Tsar could go that way, but marshmallows were sticky, and water was wet. There was no content to the statement Dmitri made. It acted only as an analgesic to the unease of the spiritually and morally compromised man into whose soul he whispered. The grimy man jolted, ever so slightly, imperceptible to anyone not looking for it, as he then said to himself his internal intent, along with all the other actors about him, to see to it that there was some type of justice in the world. It was only that he was misguided into thinking that this was that justice. Yes, he can go that way. It'll work out in the end, I'm sure, he thought to himself. Justice will be that man. It will be when that man is dead, along with the rest of his family. Knowing what the man was thinking, as it was perhaps those very same words that the grimy man had written in his journal only the night before, in a borderline schizophrenic rage, Dmitri furrowed his brow more. There is indeed no lie in that, as we all die, some of us infinite deaths. And with Nicholas, having died before the world attained justice, will in fact die yet again before it happens. Perhaps 1 billion times more. But not in the end. How do we win, Nicholas? The scientist said as he watched Nicholas run away with his wife, their children, then in tow. How do you not die? How do you attain justice? If I'm the only one here to save you, being but the human that I am, how? The way does not exist. So create it. The words came to him in his mind, simultaneously his words and not his words. And it was with those 3 words, in such sequence and such a place, that he had heard and known before, that his jaw fell open, and his eyes widened yet again, his mind drifting back through the chasms of infinite memories. Only moments after he had escaped the fall, before he had even saved Thomas, the scientist remembered. He sat in the black void of his teletracer, as it sat in the space between space, and sobbed deep, painful tears, seeing the scorched earth that ensued after the chaos. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't save them. He sobbed out the words, the flames of the scene seared into his memory. I tried everything, did everything I could think to do. And then, beyond his better judgment, he did something he had never done in his life before, scarcely thinking of any real reason to do so. This life that he had lived before anyone, including himself, had manipulated the paths of his alternate lives. This was his original timeline that he was remembering, his original lifetime. His original, raw, unfiltered thoughts and emotions. He remembered it clearly, like an elephant that never would forget a face. God, please, help. There is no path. Help. In all his life, at least his first life, he had never thought to pray to God, especially when the darkness of reality had fallen so heavily upon him. Or rather, He never never thought he would pray to God. But the thought of praying to God did cross his mind. Was there, after all, really some grand designer of the entirety of existence? If so, how in all the natural order of it all could he allow for such pain and suffering? In the injustice of it all, the justice was him never having existed. It was the only explanation, James thought. But he prayed. He prayed anyway. It was so quiet in those years, the scientist thought to himself as he remembered the words that he spoke. How, he wondered, had he heard the words that came to him next? For they were his own. But at least up to then in his existence, out of character. So create it, the words sprouted in his mind as he suddenly stopped crying. And then, back to this time where the scientist watched Nicholas in the current teletracer, as current can be in nonlinear time, it fell into place. Things he already knew and generally understood, but when these thoughts were so deep in his history, relics of his own ancient past, and therefore the past of the whole of the cosmos, the more profound their effect on him they had. I gave it to myself. The words came out of his mouth in awe. And after a few seconds of being stunned, he looked back up at Nicholas with a pensive smile. We'll create it, Nicholas. He straightened up and leaned in nearer to the Tsar, anchoring to his constantly changing position about the surface as he ran, and whispered into his ear again, now run. That's it for this one. I'll be back again hopefully tomorrow. Peace.